Techno-Utopianism, Part 1. In 1927, The Jazz Singer, the film which Al Jolson sung in sync with the picture for some scenes, changed the idea of sound in movies. All the studios wanted sound now. In 1926, AT&T created a new division, Electrical Research Products Incorporated, ERPI, to soundify theaters, not just in North America, but around the world. An essay by Emily Thompson called Wiring the World tells the story of this relatively short-lived organization. Thompson says that the technicians and engineers of ERPI saw their goal as more than just a technological accomplishment. They attached an ideological, cultural, and even moral aspect to their mission. To prepare themselves, the ERPI team was first given oral training, which meant some lessons in theater acoustics, sound reinforcement, and learning how to keep the sound of streetcars and subways out of the theaters. ERPI's newsletter, the Erpagram, painted a vivid picture. Each man has been equipped with a large fiber knapsack in which to carry his equipment. The kit also contained a cap pistol to hunt out reverberation and his echoes and banish him from the theater. Skipping ahead, it would seem obvious that once it was related to us by the ERPI master, while the listening training may have been important, in truth, much of what they were assigned to do was pretty prosaic, wiring and hanging drapes to muffle echoes and help with soundproofing. Thompson writes about an ERPI team in Canton, Ohio, who heard a roaring sound coming from somewhere near the screen, and of course they had to track it down, find its source, and eliminate the offending noise. After considerable time spent tracking the noise through the circuit, they looked behind the screen to find 6 caged lions belonging to the circus. ERPI was more than a little evangelical. Much like our present-day techno-utopians, they believed that there would be all kinds of profound repercussions and knock-on effects, many of them completely unrelated to sound, around the world as theaters were converted to sound. In the early days of cinema, America was the primary source of films, so it was imagined that along with the movies, American values, democracy, capitalism, free speech, and all the rest would go along for the ride. Talkies would bring civilization to the rest of the world, the civilization being defined rather parochially, as it often is. One hears the same claims today made for Facebook and all the other new technologies that they will bring democracy to the world. Hell, they haven't even brought democracy to the USA. Interesting that mere film sound technology was presumed to carry so much of this baggage. The Erpagram published a poem expressing their hopes and aspirations. And again, this poem is from the period. I'm going to read the actual language of the Erpagram poem. Again, this is the Electrical Research Products Incorporated, a division of AT&T from around 1926. So this is a very old and inappropriate poem. I'm preparing you. The Chinaman rejects his Joes. The Jap his harikari. Mahomet's socks are wearing thin, for ERPI is established in the lands of rice and curry. Quite soon the Eskimos, the fetish will be known, while mid-equator cannibals leave their cooking pots and Annabelles to hear the white sheet groan. Where nations lack a common bond and hate grows like cancer, who will banish ignorance and strife and give the world new lease on life? Why, ERPI is the answer. Thompson writes, the evangelical language became military and a little sexual. The engineers were referred to as the American Expeditionary Force and as shock troops, also as American experts. The headline at a theater in Cairo being equipped for sound was, Africa falls under ERPI's advance. The techno crusade assumed that influence would essentially flow one way from the United States to all other nations of the world, which would naturally become willing and happy consumers of superior American products. And that's precisely what happened at first, because few countries had native film industries, and none of them had the ability to do sound technology. In India, they were treated to Melody of Love, and in Fiji to Abby's Irish Rose. Folks in Shanghai got Rio Rita and Hollywood Review. Only the best in American culture. This state of affairs didn't last long. The French, unsurprisingly, took offense at English blasting out of their cinemas, and they destroyed a theater. Aspiring Indian filmmakers quickly learned how to use sound technology and began making their own movies. Before long, India was the largest movie producing country in the world. Movie studios equipped for sound also opened in Germany and Brazil, where a factory producing lightweight musicals churned out films for decades. As with most missionary initiatives, the final result was not exactly what had been intended. Instead of global hegemony and standardization, sound in films allowed hundreds of cultures to find their own cinematic voices. In fact, some argue that it was the homegrown Indian cinema that first forced the country's citizens to learn a common language, which may have helped Indians find national identity as much as the efforts of Gandhi did. And that common language eventually enabled the unity that led to the ouster of the British Empire. Oh, hello there. I didn't see you guys come in. Welcome to Saturday Morning Bitcoin Talk Show. Just reading a little more of How Music Works by David Byrne. A very cool book by a very cool guy, lead singer of the Talking Heads, a solo artist as well, David Byrne. He was talking about sound in film, and I was interested to see how it rolled out across the world. And it was practically a military operation at some point. Africa falls to movies with sound. France burns down a theater to get rid of English sound coming out of their movie theaters. Really interesting, and again, remind me of my own time in Europe, where I saw so many Marvel action characters and so many Harry Potter characters and so many Lord of the Rings characters and Star Wars. They had shops everywhere. I thought of them as nerd shops, but they're targeted at me. They're the kind of shops I would shop in. But all of that across Europe, France, Budapest, Austria, all of them celebrating Harry Potter, all of them celebrating Marvel action heroes. So it's not far off from what David Byrne's talking about here about sound and movies conquering the world through cultural hegemony. So interesting stuff from David Byrne. But we got a lot of news to talk about today, and we got some phone calls to take. So let's just get started on Bitcoin Talk Show. Check out this great Photoshop made by Philippe at Philippe and Philippe.com, where you can buy tons of Bitcoin Photoshops, including some great old propaganda that might just be perfect for your wall or hallway. As you can see here, I am the Node Runner 2049 Mad Bitcoins. And it's pretty neat. It's the second time Philippe has photoshopped me into some Blade Runner outfits. Previously, I was in the original Blade Runner. Now I'm in the new Blade Runner. Very cool. Also of note, Bitseed, if you're out there, I'd still love to try out one of those Bitcoin nodes. Maybe I could be the real node runner if you guys would respond to any of my Twitter requests. So much for Bitseed. I'm worried at this point if I do manage to raise the money and send them $350, if they'll even send me a product, as it's been over a week and they haven't responded on Twitter. I gotta wonder if they're really a company at this point. Also noting on this jacket, it looks very similar to a jacket I purchased at a thrift store in Berlin. How about that? You can see the fur collar, you can see the fine leather, and there it is. It's my jacket. How cool is that? But thanks again to Philippe for the Photoshop. And let's get started on Bitcoin Talk Show. Today is Saturday, August 11th, 2018. My name is Thomas Hunt, and here's what's happening today in Bitcoin. First, an important message from Richard Hart. How to live comfortably on $36 a month for food. Just a brief summary: oatmeal and banana for breakfast, sometimes milk or a tea bag. You could also eat eggs. Lunch, sandwiches are the cheapest route. Peanut butter and jelly can be 25 cents a sandwich, plus a banana is a pretty filling lunch for 60 cents. Dinner, try rice and beans. He says it's his favorite meal, and you can buy rice in 10-pound bags for $5 at a specialty store. Soak your own beans, add ground beef, cheese, and an avocado. Makes 3 dinners for around 44 cents a serving. So there is options compared to selling your Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin is down 0.66% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 6,103, a high of 6,165, and a low of $6,008. That's $1 for 16,385 Satoshis. Let's spin the wheel. World Coin Index getting a fresh refresh in there. The top 10 altcoins sorted by volume today. Ethereum down 7%, Bitcoin Cash down 4%, EO down 6%, Ethereum Classic down 7%, Ripple down 8%, Litecoin down 5%, Qtum down 10%, Tron down 5%, and Dash rounding out the top 10 down 3%. Nothing but blood today in the altcoin markets. Checking out Dapp Radar for the most popular decentralized applications. Fork Delta still ruling the roost with 1,617 users. Right behind is IDEX with 1,605. Falling below to number 3, FOMO 3D has 784 users. POWH3D has 498 users, still marked as high risk. And a brand new DAI stability system, marked as other, has 377 active users, in a tie with Bancor for number 6. Still about less than 5,000 people using the top 5 distributed applications. Checking out blockchain activity matrix, it's pretty much the same, with EOS number 1, BitShares behind it, and Steem coming in third, all designed by the same guy. Ethereum rounds it out in number 4, and Bitcoin comes up behind in number 5, with the blockchain having been cleared and capacity back down to 43%. As always, you can support the World Crypto Network by sending us Bitcoin or any of the crazy altcoins below, donation addresses which people ask for but aren't really using. Give us a thumbs up down below, a share, and a subscribe. Helping support this show is great, even without monetary gifts. Just go ahead and give us a thumbs up, share us on Twitter, subscribe, give us a comment, start talking in the chat, give us a phone call. You are supporting the show. It doesn't always have to be money. You can do a lot of support just with your time and effort. The Patreon account for patreon.com/WCN has 31 patrons donating $234 a month to support this show. Over at the Mad Bitcoins Patreon, 80 patrons are donating $483 a month to support this show. We've also got our Tallycoin campaign, where we've raised $180.55 towards our goal of $1 million. That's 0.02% towards our goal, which also keeps getting farther away. When we started this goal, $1 million was 125 Bitcoins. Seemed like a lot to me, but now $1 million is 164 Bitcoins. Things are getting worse. It's getting further away, but it's still the same goal. If you have $1 million in Bitcoin that you don't need, and you'd like to see what the World Crypto Network would do with actual funding, give us a try right here. And let's check out yesterday's comments. Yesterday's comments. We had 2 comments on yesterday's show. Aaron writes, "Thomas, you are a gentleman and a scholar. Love the Kipling poem." Thanks so much. I had a chance to read If yesterday. Always one of my favorite poems. If you can bet it all on a throw of pitch and toss and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about the loss, well, you're a better man than me. And PJR writes, "Mad Bitcoins." Thanks so much for the comments. And remember, after you're done chatting, you can always leave a comment on the show. It takes a little while for the show to get rendered, but after they render the show, they open up the comments section. We never close the comment section here, except when Google is doing maintenance or something like that, and they don't offer you the ability to give a comment. We're looking at comments from yesterday's Bitcoin group. A very cool show that you can check out right here on the World Crypto Network. We had Josh Skigala from Voltoro and Gabriel Devine, as well as a ghost appearance of Max on yesterday's show, which dominated the conversation in the chat. As Rock Barcelo says, Lol, for whatever reason, Thomas couldn't hear Max, and we could. Ha ha ha. Outside of that, great show, guy. Dan Bolser writes, Max, I want to make a really important Thomas. Okay, moving on. IBLB was laughing at Max. We had a great comment from Guest at Nur. He says, thanks to Gabe and Josh for the show. And he also wants to thank Max for his ephemeral contribution to the show. And he's highlighting some social media platforms you can check out. Lots of people are talking about Mastodon. I don't think it's going to overtake Twitter, not even for a second. Dan Bolser says, poor Max. Des Kenny says, great show. Too bad we couldn't hear Max. And John M says, he's a bull here and he's scared. He doesn't want to wait through another long bear market. Please hold him. And we'll hold you, John. But thanks to everybody for giving us a thumbs up and a share. We're up to 64 live viewers, which is pretty good for this time of a Saturday morning. I also wanted to highlight, it's pretty funny. Shout out to Guest at Nur. He's got his own copycat fake YouTube scammer person here. As you can see, Guestat's normal comment here where he thanks us and says nice things. And then an obvious spam comment here where he says, do you want to mine 2 Bitcoins and contact Mr. Robert on WestApp and all this kind of scammy stuff. So we did remove that scam comment and that spam there. But I just wanted to highlight and say shout out to Guest at Nur. You're hitting the big time now. You got your own imitators, your own scammers. And we had 4 live shows yesterday on the World Crypto Network. I hope you guys will check them out. Andy Hoffman had an interview with Ansel Linder. Very cool. Of course, we had Bitcoin Talk Show where you guys can call in. Then we had Bitcoin 2049 with Shem Booth Spain and Angry Dentist, followed by the Bitcoin Group, which I just discussed. And just this morning, Andy Hoffman made a brand new crypto audio blog. So you can check all of that out right here on the World Crypto Network, where people work together to make shows. The idea being we could all do these shows separately, and you'd have about 1 show a week per channel, or we could do these shows together, and you have a great, exciting channel like the World Crypto Network that you can just subscribe to one place, get lots of different voices, lots of different shows. Maybe you like some, maybe you don't like others, maybe some are your favorite. But we try to give you a selection. We try to give you options. All of these shows, if you missed them, will be on the podcast. You can subscribe to the audio podcast for the World Crypto Network. And now, one of the biggest stories of the day. Bitmain and Jihan Wu are about to conduct one of the biggest initial public offerings in history. Politics aside, investors will look at Bitmain's success and begin to acknowledge crypto as a legitimate and rapidly growing industry. Incredible. As Andy Hoffman says, this could literally be the defining crypto event of 2017, to wit, the possible $18 billion IPO sticker price positions Bitmain to displace social giant Facebook as one of the largest public offerings in history. And that's right, crypto unicorn Bitmain weighs an $18 billion IPO, one of the world's largest and perhaps the world's largest if they can beat Facebook. This is a huge IPO. Remember the profits of Bitmain, some have estimated at $4 billion. We're seeing some of their quarterly profits here. Q1 2018, they had $2 billion in profit. For the fiscal year of 2018, they estimate to have $2.5 billion in profit. Incredible growth for Bitmain. Their Bitmain earnings from Bitcoin for the fiscal year of 2017 were $11 billion. For the fiscal year of 2018, for just Q1, they've raised $10 billion. So if this continues, they would be on track for $40 billion in Bitcoin mined from their chips. Truly an incredible company, an incredible ICO. And let's see, ASIC Boost, not found in this article. So once again, Coinbase, they give you some of the facts, but they don't give you all of the facts. And sometimes it reads more like a press release. Did the company write this, or did the journalists write this? Because obviously there's nothing about Bitcoin Cash. Oh, there we go. Alternative currencies, the Bitcoin Cash ecosystem. Okay, so they do talk about Bitcoin Cash, but they don't talk about ASIC Boost. ASIC chips, ASIC Boost. No, not found. Better luck next time, CoinDesk. Just keep publishing those press releases. Good work. World Bank taps Australia's Bank to issue its first blockchain bond. And this is a big story because this is the World Bank, and again, because it's this blockchain nonsense. This pioneering bond is a milestone in our efforts to learn how we can advise our client countries on the opportunities and risk that disruptive technologies offer as we strive to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. The bond will be in collaboration with a major world issuer whose name was not disclosed at this time. Currently, major financial institutions in the world, including JP Morgan, the Agricultural Bank of China, and BBVA, have already tested blockchain-based systems for bond and loan issuance. Story developing. Watch this 15-year-old hacker play Doom on John McAfee's unhackable crypto wallet. And that's the story that's been echoing around the world because it's always exciting to see some kid play Doom on a touchscreen. It's just very cool. But of course, as Mr. McAfee says, the press claiming that the BitFi wallet has been hacked, utter nonsense. The wallet is hacked when someone gets the coins. No one got any coins. Gaining root access in an attempt to get the coins is not a hack. It's a failed attempt. All of these alleged hacks did not get the coins. Excellent point by Mr. McAfee. It's not going to stop this article because this is a hot topic. This is anytime they can say, oh, you've hacked it to play Doom, everyone's like, oh, that's super cool. I love that. But he is totally right. If they got root access on it, it's not the same as getting the coins. So if they haven't gotten coins off there, then sure, the device has been rooted. But the same could be said for the voting machines. Sure, you can root the voting machine and make it play Doom, but what you can't do is root the voting machine and change the votes. Well, maybe you can with a voting machine, but I don't think you can with this BitFi wallet, at least so far. Brad Mills shares a sad story of tokens and ICO investing. As Brad writes, over the last 2 to 3 months, I've been receiving tokens from ICOs I invested in back in December, January, and February. They are all wrecked, pegged to Ethereum slash Bitcoin or USD all the way down. I just received my distribution where my group invested $3.5 million at $1,000 pegged Ethereum. Tokens worth $350,000, 90% loss. So some of us are licking our wounds and feeling bad, but imagine if you'd had more money to invest, you would have lost even more money. As he's saying here, one project they invested in sold all of their Ethereum and has $20 million in the bank. Market cap, $2.5 million. You'd think that buying distressed ICOs would be a no-brainer. He invested in one project with sold Ethereum at $700 for a $7.5 million bank return. Last month, market cap of $3.5 million. Now, the market cap is $1.5 million. There's no logic in crypto bear or bull markets. And he's not revealing the names of these projects. He's just pretty disappointed with all of his investments. Generally, it doesn't seem like any of them worked out. He's saying news and partnerships doesn't seem to help the bloodbath. ICOs launching on exchanges right now are suffering instant capitulative losses. Market making doesn't help. Everyone wants liquidity. If you provide the liquidity, you'll be bled dry. If you don't, the token price plummets. Bittrex listings have not meant anything to a token's price in a long time. Now, Binance listings are not worth anything either. Get listed on Binance, get wrecked. Don't get listed, get wrecked. Did your ICO have a ton of FOMO in the pre-sale? Get wrecked. The summer of 2018 is wrecked. Unfortunately, his personal portfolio looks a lot like Meltem's potato fund, And she had a potato fund where she picked a bunch of terrible altcoins, and then imagined if she had invested, say, $1,000 in each one, where would she be today? And it's very much underwater. So thanks so much to Brad for sharing his true story. I know it's difficult to talk about losses. Everybody talks about gains. Everybody says, "Oh, I made this," or "Oh, I made that," or they show you their Lamborghini or whatever, but nobody talks about losses. And I respect Brad a lot for talking about these losses, especially losses of this size. I know someone saying in the audience, in the chat, they say that they feel better now. And I agree. I feel a little better too. I've lost some money, but not $3.5 million, et cetera, et cetera. And again, he had to have this 3.5 million to invest it. So at one point, he could have made all kinds of other choices with that money. But remember, it's all in the past. We had a great quote from Swift on Security, who I think's in town for the DEF CON hacking convention down in Las Vegas here. And he/she says, walking around the casino floor, watching people captivated by the result of random number generators biased to a frequency they have no skill-based input into. You'd feel superior, but you question how much of your life you just blindly accept with even worse odds and no dopamine. Great stuff from Swift on security. And Kevin Rook writes in with a tweet. He says, the failures of central banks. Exhibit A. Inflation versus the US dollar since January 2018. Turkey, 180%. Iran, 246%. Venezuela, 34,000%. And he says, these are Bitcoin's newest supporters. Turkey, Iran, and Venezuela. Kim Zetter writes a warning tweet about Vegas and Black Hat DEF CON. You should know that security will probably enter your hotel room, whether you're in it or not, if you declined maid service. And as Kim says, because I declined to have maid service in my hotel room at Black Hat, 2 security guys came through my room and demanded I open my door and let them do a walk-through search. The hotel never gave me a heads up, and the 2 guys thought that I should just believe that they are hotel security. And as he says here, he or she held them outside, wouldn't let them in until they came back with a hotel manager or some kind of badge or some kind of card proving that they were indeed hotel security. But just to keep in mind, there's a lot of hacking going on both sides during DEF CON and during these events. It's probably the reason why some of my friends won't let their laptop more than 5 feet away from them. They take their laptops everywhere, and they basically leave the one time that they leave their laptop behind in a room unsupervised, that the government will hack it. So never leave your laptop behind in your hotel room. Bitcoin, a better version of gold, cryptographically secure, a new territory of freedom, not a currency of the government, a global currency for the people. And someone made a great Bitcoin art piece. It looks like an old stock share, a share of stock. It says it's a better version than gold. It's the currency of the internet, a new era of decentralized and censorship-resistant cryptocurrency. Bitcoin. 21 million, supply limited, more scarce than gold. A new model of government, proof of work, based on the principle of consensus, performing checks and balances on the corruptible tenderness of society, corruptible tendencies of society. And this just in, Facebook's David Marcus has stepped down from Coinbase's board. As Jameson Lopp speculates, after Facebook's recent move to start sucking up financial data, they claim they want to give you notifications in Messenger, but really I think they just want more data to improve their advertising. It would be completely unsurprising to see them try to buy Coinbase. And remember, Coinbase is working on becoming a bank, and Facebook would also like to be a bank, as well as Amazon.com. Actually, that's what I'd love to see. I'd like to start that rumor right now. Amazon will sneak in and buy Coinbase before Facebook can. This would be a major move by Amazon to shock the world, and a major upset to Coinbase, or for Facebook, who seems to believe they can just take their time and See how this goes. NYSE operators new backed platform beats Coinbase, says Tom Lee. Coinbase has serious competition from the Intercontinental Exchange, ICE, the parent company of the New York Stock Exchange. Their platform, backed, has been in private beta for more than 14 months. Unlike Coinbase, who just randomly tests their website and then releases it, 14 months of preparation to make a superior stock market, a superior market for Bitcoin. As it's been said, they will physically deliver the funds. Perhaps there won't even be a reason for a Bitcoin ETF, as large holders could buy their coins directly through the backed exchange and have them physically delivered to them, or at least the stock certificates or whatever it is. Physical delivery is basically what an ETF is. So if they're able to offer this just from their exchange, we might not even need an ETF. Everypedia chooses EOS over the Ethereum blockchain ahead of launch. And just mentioning this because we might be seeing a changing of the guard in the where do you put your project. Previously, the Kik project, which was KIK, it's an online chatting program, they started out on Ethereum. Then Ethereum was hit by CryptoKitties. Then they moved to Stellar. Then they found out that they couldn't just print their own Stellar. And eventually they made their own coin, a copy of Stellar. Maybe this is the future as companies are moving away from Ethereum and instead moving to EOS, which is also a platform. So we'll just have to see. Not sure how big this company is or if it's really important, but if there's a trend change here and Ethereum is no longer cool and EOS is, it's worth noting. I had a disagreement with CoinDesk this morning. I said, it's a good thing that CoinDesk isn't a news site. Their entire article about Bcash, and they never mention censorship resistance. Distracted by flashing lights, they fail to mention that making the blocks bigger makes the nodes bigger, makes less of them, and that Bcash is easier to censor. After I tweeted this, CoinDesk took their tweet down. Not sure why they did that. I wouldn't worry about covering the news when you've got hard-hitting quotes from a single source. And Coinbase quoted a single source who sells luxury goods and claims that she knew the market of Bcash because while the Ethereum people are more likely to be paying their mom's rent, Bitcoin Cash is used for things like Beyonce and Jay-Z world tour tickets, or people throwing parties on Greek islands and buying Dom Perignon. Ooh, a single source, CoinDesk, a single source. You look like fools. Really, propaganda seems to be emerging as a popular but embarrassing choice for a lot of fun users. While CoinDesk continues to be impressed by things like parties and money burning, the rest of the Bitcoin community is focused on the actual technology and how it works. And it doesn't work for Bcash just because they have a fancy party. Bad form, CoinDesk. Try to show some objectivity next time. That means you don't just print whatever they say because they invited you to a party. It's really transparent. Everyone can see. And I also provided a link to the article and took a screen cap so we do have a mirror. As I say in my next tweet, CoinDesk, if you're embarrassed about an article, it's not enough just to take down the tweet. It's better to take down the whole article. Embrace the strange. Do a better job at journalism. Don't just echo whatever people say at fancy parties. And again, Bitcoin Cash has lower censorship resistance than Bitcoin. If you don't mention this in your articles, maybe you aren't a news site anymore. Get the facts. Bigger blocks, bigger nodes, less nodes, easier to censor. Use your brain. That's it right there. And here's the article, lots of weird pictures. And again, very pathetic. Very, very pathetic. It also doesn't even say that the author doesn't hold Bitcoin Cash here. There's no disclaimer line. So we can just assume the author holds Bitcoin Cash and they're pumping it. But let's move on. I'm enjoying my free trial of Audible so far. I thought for a minute there I wasn't even going to download the free book. But then last night I was kind of in a self-help mood. So I browsed a couple of options. Most of them had the F word in the title. I kind of chose between the subtle art of not giving an F versus un-F yourself, and I went with unfuck yourself. This is a very cool book so far. It's read by this Scottish guy. I think he's the author, and he just seems very serious about everything. He's like, yeah, you have to stop this negative talk in your head. Everyone talks to themselves. You can't talk to yourself negative. It's going to work out badly. You have to be willing. So, like, if you think about the dishes and you're like, I don't want to do the dishes because it sucks, you instead want to be, I have the will to do the dishes. I am willing to do the dishes. And then once you think about it, it's really not that hard. I'll let you guys know more about the book if you're interested. I'm about 3 chapters in. You can check this out on Amazon or on Audible. And again, I'm not usually into audiobooks, but I'm really enjoying this guy's voice. I feel like he's speaking directly to me and he's being incredibly honest because he's Scottish and he has no other choice. That's simply how Scottish people are. So check it out. Exclusive. Hunter S. Thompson's Red Shark lands in Las Vegas for new cannabis museum exhibit. And there it is, Hunter S. Thompson's personal 1973 Chevrolet Caprice, inspired by the book Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas and featured in the motion picture starring Johnny Depp, will be here in Las Vegas. I will go and see this car. Also, Cannabis Museum. That sounds good too. But shout out to Hunter S. Thompson. Great job by his wife, his forget how you say it, his widow, Anita, for donating or for lending the car, not donating, but for lending the car to the museum. Excellent stuff. Can't wait to see the Red Shark. This might be great. It also might never happen. Quentin Tarantino has plans to direct an R-rated Star Trek movie. Mind blown. Especially with Quentin saying that he'll only direct something like 10 films and that he's getting towards the end of his run with The Hateful Eight being number 8. And I don't want that to be. I want Quentin to do more films. I do understand what he's trying to say as an auteur, as one of the best filmmakers in the world. Imagine if he only made, say, 10 films and they were all amazing and then he walked away. I'd rather have him make 20 or 30 films. Maybe 5 of them will be bad and 10 of them will be good, and et cetera, et cetera. I just think we need more Quentin Tarantino. But yes, his only request is that the film be rated R. R-rated Star Trek, violence, guts, talking. Oh, I just can't wait. But again, this is we don't know for sure this is happening. This is still a rumor. Apple influenced Mark Zuckerberg's decision to ban InfoWars. And just in case you're wondering, I think this is support for my theory that the companies acted independently, but like dominoes. One of them went down, then the other ones all went down, and now we're in a position where Apple didn't remove Alex Jones' app and Twitter didn't remove him, but everyone else pretty much did. I think it's just peer pressure. They saw the other ones doing it, and they said, well, we should do that too. And it's time for the call-in portion of Bitcoin Talk Show. I could do a couple more news items from the mainstream media, but they're pretty boring. It's all about the price, the price, the price, and the price, the price, the price. I do have Hal ready to go. I feel kind of like I'm losing my voice already. I'm ready to do another cough drop or throat drop, but it's harder to talk when you have a throat drop in your mouth. So we're going to get ready to open up the phone lines. Remember, we have both phone lines on Skype at World Crypto Network, or you can call us at 500 618 1949. And we're getting ready here for phone calls on Bitcoin Talk Show. If there are no phone calls, I might read how, but we don't want it to come to that. we don't want me to have to read how. Even if I just read the first section, Hal is really long. And if I start it, I might have to finish it. But let's see what they're saying in the chat. Let's get a quick checkup with the chat before we go nuclear and start reading Howl. It's really a beautiful poem. It's really freaking long. Even the first page or so is pretty long, but it's a nice poem. People are excited about the Star Trek movie. People want to see it. They think it's going to be super cool. Tarantino and Star Trek. I love it. Let's see. Guest at Nerd talks about the Bitcoin Cash vulnerability. We got an article by the guy who helped them, a Bitcoin developer who was nice to Bitcoin Cash when Bitcoin Cash has never been nice to Bitcoin. Let's see. We're going to scroll back up because I'm not sure what's going on in these people's conversations, and it might help better if I start at the beginning. Guest at Nerd says, taking diet advice from a guy like Richard Hart is like taking financial advice from Roger Ver. Just saying. Jose says, nice jacket, Thomas. Thanks, Jose. My friend said it really fit me. And usually I don't buy expensive jackets, even expensive jackets for a thrift store. It was less than $100. But no, I just had to buy that one. And I wasn't looking to buy a heavy jacket and carry it around, but it's mighty cold out there in Europe. And even now, as I'm trying to plan a trip back to Europe, I'm not sure what to do because I left my jackets in Sacramento because it's never hot. It's never cold in Vegas. So I'd have to go back home to get a jacket and then go back to Europe. But I still might do that. That might be the way to go because I don't want to go without my jacket. It's too important. Although it is a little warm. I was there a little earlier, but if I go in a little later, maybe that'll be better. It'll be colder. More time to wear my cool jacket. Of course, guest at Nerd didn't scam, but the big time happens, and he only called in once. The trolls aren't. The trolls are just looking for somebody that calls, somebody to copy. Moonshine Fuel asks, "Where's Bitmain based out of?" They're based out of China. We're not going to be mean, but most people know that. But it's cool, man. You need to know. It's important. Max Kaiser, and probably not real, says, I heard that Bitmain is losing the technology race with their miners. He's not bullish. The 7 nanometer chips that they're going to need for the next round of ASICs are going to be made better and cheaper elsewhere. And that may be true. This might be the big moment for Bitmain where they go out very well on the IPO, but then their business starts to turn and tank. Although I'm not so sure about that. I've heard of their plans for artificial intelligence kind of mining, like solving problems for AI computers, having a bunch of computers ready to go to answer these queries. And that sounds like a really good plan too. Like, I hate to say it because, sure, they fought against Bitcoin and there's ASIC boost and there's all this blood in the water. But at the same time, they've got that chip designer guy and he's really sharp and he's working on chips that will support artificial intelligence and that you could just have a factory mining the various questions that people ask. Sounds great to me. I wish I could say something critical about it. It sounds great. Freddie in the chat says, hey, Tom, great show. How will Bitcoin resist from being bought completely by click and apply central banks generated fiat money? Let's see. He says it's already happening. Okay, well, basically, hyper Bitcoinization or total Bitcoin adoption is where these banks start getting into Bitcoin, right? And they start buying Bitcoin. One idea that's postulated is that the banks could print more money and use that money to buy Bitcoin because that's how they do everything, right? That's how the government works. That's how the banks work. They print money out of nothing. Then they use it to buy something really big like 100 B-2 bombers or a road or a new airport, something like that, disaster relief. So yes, they could print $100 million and buy $100 million worth of Bitcoin. But the problem is when they try that again next year or next month even, and they print another $100 million and they try to buy $100 million in Bitcoin, they're going to get substantially less Bitcoin. Every time they do this, they're going to print more money and they're going to get less Bitcoin. So it could be a disaster for them. Bitcoin can just take in all the world's value, all the world's wealth. They can keep printing money and they can keep buying less and less Bitcoin. So I'm pretty sure that's where we're going. I'm pretty sure regardless of all of these options and all of these choices and all of these things that everyone thinks is so important and all this blockchain, not Bitcoin and all this nonsense, I'm pretty sure where we're going is that Bitcoin is the single reserve currency of the world. All of these other people are going to make their own copy of Bitcoin, and they're going to try to do it alone. And it's not going to work, right? Some of them will work, some of them won't work, some of them will flop right away, some will take 3 to 5 years to die. Facebook's a huge company. If they do a coin, it's going to take 3 to 5 years for them to learn their lesson that they should have just used Bitcoin, and that there's something great about having a single store of value uncontrolled by governments or corporations. Essentially, we can all trust Bitcoin because no one can control it. And nothing else in the world is like that. So I think that one by one, the central banks, one by one, the banks, one by one, the corporations will fall to Bitcoin. They can't trust each other. They all would betray each other for money. They know this. They want the money. So when one or two of them betray each other and go to Bitcoin, the rest will follow like a herd. And everyone in the crowd will say, oh, it's a conspiracy. They all did it together. A lot of these conspiracies is one person goes and they take a risk, and then the next person goes, and the next person goes, and then they all go. So get ready for it. I think it's inevitable. I don't think it matters what these people do. I think there's distractions and there's slowdowns. But if we look on a long enough timeline, the future is all Bitcoin. It just can't be stopped. The way it was produced and designed by an anonymous individual or team puts it in a stronger position than any of the other coins. None of them can ever have as good a launch as Bitcoin. And even if they did, it would be mainly because they're copying exactly everything that Bitcoin does. And that would just be an equal launch, not a better launch. Keeping with the chat, Max feels better knowing that that guy lost $3.5 million and turned it into 350K. That was a painful, painful tweet. He's like, yeah, just look on the bright side. If you had more money, you would have lost more money. And I definitely feel that. I know a lot of people made a lot of money on altcoins, and it went up and it went down. But who knows? Maybe it goes up again, right? That's what we're holding out for. Guest at Neuro reminds us we have 86 viewers, but only 23 thumbs up. So everyone, please give us a thumbs up down below. Thumbs up are free. And the way YouTube works is that they promote more videos that have thumbs up. It's a way of them saying, hey, it's not just a good video, it's a great video. So give us a thumbs up down below. Maximilian Fugelwitz says, people are getting blocked from here for calling Hofscam a scam. Well, I gotta tell you, this is not a like a public message board. This is a community, right? So our goal as a community is to discuss topics. So if people come in thinking this is the wild, wild west of the internet, acting like jerks, being, rude or full of themselves or mean, it's very easy to get blocked from here. We're trying to have a conversation. So if you, and a lot of these people here disagree with me and I disagree with them, and yet still we have a great conversation. They put their points out, I put my points out. Maybe some of it's convincing, some of it's not, and we agree to disagree and we move on. But as far as Andy Hoffman, we've talked about this several times. The guy's got to make money. So if he needs to consult with altcoins, fine with that. He's never overtly promoted them here on the World Crypto Network. He's never done an interview with the B Rhodium guys. I don't even think he mentions it in his crypto audio blogs and stuff. He's always talking about Bitcoin. He always says Bitcoin's the best. He just has a favorite altcoin. It happens to be B Rhodium. I talked to him about it personally on the air. You can go check out the interview. I asked him honestly and directly if he's being paid by B Rhodium. I tried to make sure he couldn't weasel out, but who knows if he signed an NDA or something. Could have lied to me. It's totally possible. I don't believe so. I believe he's honest. But if Andy wants to talk about B Rhodium on his Twitter account, it's his Twitter account. He believes in it. I talked to him. He believes in the technology. For a lot of us, we look at B Rhodium and it's one of the worst altcoins we've ever seen. It's embarrassing. And the worst part about it is they have the name Bitcoin on there. But to really try to understand this, Andy spent many years as a silver and gold backer, a gold bug, if you will. And there must be something about this B Rhodium marketing that works to his kind of gold bug nature. I think something about the lower supply, the scarcity, it just kind of ties into his mind and it works. And We all get fooled sometimes. We all make mistakes. If B Rhodium comes out and it tanks, I imagine that Andy will wake up from his mistake and have some kind of an awakening, and then we can all go through that and we can all learn from that. And we can all learn not to throw Andy in the garbage because he has a favorite altcoin, right? Lots of people have favorite altcoins. It doesn't matter to me. So you guys really got to work on this. Andy does a lot of work for free for this community. He's done videos, 3 or 4 videos this week. He writes a daily blog at Crypto Gold Daily or CryptoGoldCentral.com. I listen to his things. And yeah, really, I mean, just let's give Andy a chance here. So yeah, if you just come in and you call someone a scam, there's a possibility you're going to get banned for being rude. We're having a discussion here. So I appreciate everyone who has a discussion. I'm bummed at people that come in and don't want to have a discussion and just want to be rude or mean or whatever. But that's what that's about. And if you do get blocked, you can always create a new account and come back and hang out and try to be more polite the next time. But if you have the tendency to be blocked because you like being rude and crazy and out there, you're probably going to get blocked here too. So it goes. But remember, you can always start your own blog and you can always start your own YouTube channel. Just because you're blocked from one insignificant chat doesn't mean that you're censored all over the internet and you suddenly have a big legal case. Um, you've been banned from a chat because you were probably rude. So be less rude. Be more productive. Be more like part of the conversation. So this is great. Jack says in the chat, I heard someone say Lambo, stated that now he can't even afford a lamb. And guest Etner, everyone alive wants to be a bank. You're a bank. I'm a bank. We're all banks. Moonshine Fuel believes Amazon will become top heavy and that it happens every time with large companies. I'm not so sure. I've read that Amazon book and I've never been more impressed with a company after reading a book about their founder. Jeff Bezos from top to bottom, child prodigy, featured in books, focused on space, focused on Star Trek. Develops his company Amazon. They write the press releases before they make the product. So the press release is like, the Amazon Echo is an amazing device that allows you to talk and use your voice to control your computer and to ask it questions. Just a brilliant company. I don't want to work there. It sounds like they work their employees to the bone and that everyone gets out of there and then goes to a nicer company, a nicer corporation where they can relax more. But the people who are at Amazon, I think, are busting it and working really hard. And the executives do very well. The people in the fulfillment centers where they pack all the goods do very badly. But still, very, very, very impressive company. Uh, I wish I still had my stock, but I sold it for Facebook and Twitter years ago. So, oh well, whoopsie. um, let's see. How I Made said, I love paying ETH gas and waiting forever on the congested network. So yeah, there might be some credence to that idea that new projects are moving to EOS or Stellar or some other project. We just got to keep an eye on that, see what the new hip thing is. As guest at Nurse says, let's have everyone print their own currency. Hell, let's have as many currencies as there are languages spoken. Like that's going to work. And I agree. It's much simpler to have Bitcoin, the one currency that unites us all, and you can trade Bitcoin for any goofy altcoin you want. Very easy. Let's see what's going on. All right. Jose's got to go. He's got to do his own show. Shout out to Jose Artega. Check him out on YouTube. He's a frequent caller here on the World Crypto Network and a contributor. Let's see. People trying not to be negative. If you own 1 to 10 Bitcoins, you're among the 500,000 richest Bitcoin holders in the world. It doesn't feel like much of an accomplishment, though. Oh, well. Moonshine Fuel agrees with me, and the guy from the Un-F Yourself book, he says, do the dishes or live in garbage. And shout out to Check Your Six, who says, contribute and give back, and gave us a $5 super chat donation. Thank you so much, Check Your Six, for supporting the show. And it's real easy to do a super chat. If you click the $ down below, you can link your Google account to one of your credit cards or something like that, and you can send us $5. You could also send us $5 through Bitcoin, through any of the QR codes or any of the crazy altcoins. So thank you so much for supporting this show. It's not all about the money, but it's nice if your hobby can pay you money. It's more like a job. If your hobby doesn't make any money, it's just a hobby, and you should probably be looking for a job. So I prefer the latter. I prefer the former. Sorry. Um, let's see. Jose that says, check out the thank you economy, Thomas. I'm not sure what that is. It sounds like it might be like volunteerism or the gift economy of Burning Man or anything like that. But yeah, it'd be great if there was more positivity in this space and more connections and all these things and just more support for the people that are trying to talk about this because it's not easy. It's not easy to form these groups and to get people to talk about Bitcoin. And it's not easy when they all leave and start their own things. And it's not easy picking up new people and or being a new person and trying to talk about this when the audience is so mean. So let's have a nicer audience. Let's have give people a chance. Uh, believe the best in them. Believe the best in them. But that's tough when they all make altcoins and everything. So we can't believe the best in them. So Moonshine Fuel thought that his Dyson vacuum died, but it was just down from the excessive heat. We could discuss that. Dyson vacuums are pretty amazing. I'd be surprised if one died. My roommate had one. It was pretty good. How I Made says, don't fall for these articles. The publishers are already in the know of Stellar plus Facebook, so they stock up. Then they release the article. The public gets excited and they buy up the news. Then they sell. And it is possible a lot of insider trading may be going on in Bitcoin and altcoins, especially with all these crazy articles that people are always writing. And close a tab. Yeah, I have a lot of tabs open. Will we see a 55% Bitcoin dominance in quarter three? The dominance did rise up to 50% Bitcoin dominance lately. Very high number. Hasn't been that high in a long time. Let's see. Other things. So China owns Hollywood already, and they now seem to control social media. How is Bitmain going to be different? It's not. And that is a good point when you're investing in a company in the People's Republic of China, like Bitmain. What are you really investing in? How much control does the government have? I just don't know. It seems like a great blue chip investment, but it might be across the wrong side of the line. Jeremy Lucid writes in, he says, even the people in Litecoin are losing it now. They're dumping it en masse for Bitcoin, is his feeling. And Rolando says it's sweet airdrop money. You can't blame Andy. And that's one of Andy's big things is that I asked him personally if he was buying more B Rhodium or if he was going to stock up. He said he just had the ones that came from his Bitcoin. So he just had his free B Rhodium. And I don't know how many Bitcoins Andy has, but I can't imagine it to be that large of a number. So he has that same amount of B Rhodium. And I really think it's going to be hard for him to make a large profit off that. So even all these people saying Andy's a big scammer and the Brodium and all this stuff, I don't think he's going to make that much money. So if you really want to make money in these crazy altcoins, you got to buy them early when they're pieces of garbage and they're worth 2 cents. And then when they go up to like $5, you got to sell at the top. And if Andy can't buy B Rhodium at 2 cents, I don't see how he's going to make a lot of money at the top. He'll make some money. And like he said several times, it's free, right? They gave him the coins for free. He thinks it's a good deal because he got it for free. So it goes. And Agartha writes, Andy's okay, but he'll have to learn his way. And I think that's the nicest thing to say because we just have to let him make his own choices and decisions. And the other thing is that I trust you guys. I trust you guys not to blindly follow Andy, not to blindly follow Tone, not to blindly follow any of these people, no matter what they say. Go get a second source. If I say something, go look it up in a book, double check it, question everything, trust no one. Because again, I don't know anything about the future. I don't know. I mean, I think Bitcoin's great. I've told you that since it was $100, right? I have a handful of them, but not that many. And I'm fine with that. I think it's a great way to be. I think we're in an exciting new industry, and we've got to give it time. I think we're down a little bit, but we just got to keep going. So let's keep going. Matt Smith says, I just got here and heard everyone has their altcoin that they love. His was Ether Party, Fuel, back in December, January. It only took him a few months to learn why Bitcoin is the only way. And see, that's what we have to do. Like, we're not going to hate on Matt here and say, oh, you like Ether Party. You're an Ether Party lover or something. We're not going to come slam you for that. We'll let you explore. We'll let you do it. I mean, everyone I talk to, they're like, yeah, have you heard of this one? Or, oh, I really like this one. And that's cool. You know, everyone has their bag. Everyone has their little dream that it's going to go up to $30 a coin and they're going to sell at the top, not hold till the bottom. That's fine. Have your dream. Maybe it works. A lot of these crazy altcoins work. Some of them don't. So shout out again. Check your six. Thank you for donating and supporting. Guest at Nerd says, watch it, Thomas. WCN isn't insignificant. I don't know. Sometimes I feel down about it. But we did have 4 shows yesterday. I thought that was pretty awesome. Jeremy says, I admire Andy for making a show every day he can. I like his style. He works hard for Bitcoin. And I agree. I think if you actually listen to Andy, if you actually listen to his audio blogs, he's very straightforward. He's very pro Bitcoin. He's clearly on the team. When he tweets and he says he's excited about B-Rhodium, I just laugh. I giggle and I shrug my shoulders and I say, Andy will learn. And I'm not concerned about it. The market will take care of him. And you know, it's a bummer if he loses some money, but it's free money, right? So it's fine. So How I Made says he's a big fan of my voice. Keep up the great work and spread the positivity. And he sent us $5 so I can have coffee on him. So thanks so much, How I Made. And yeah, it's not easy to spread the positivity. I'm not a very positive person. I get mad at things. I'm mad at CoinDesk this morning. And again, I'm not really mad at CoinDesk. I'm poking at them. I'm having a good time. I'm, you know, in jest. I'm mocking them a little. And that's fine, you know. But as far as this, yeah, it's hard to stay positive. I was talking to the guys in the chat before the show, and you know, I was telling the truth. You know, every time the price goes down, I'm bummed out because you know I lose money on paper, and every time the price goes down for me, viewers on this show go down, comments go down, interest goes down, the whole thing goes down. So at one point, you're like on this Bitcoin revolution, and you think it's just the best thing ever, and you're spreading the word about it, and you know you have a little bit of money, so you're all right. But in the next 2 weeks later, the Bitcoin revolution's going to zero, and you're spreading the word about something that's bad, and you're losing money, and nothing's all right. But this has happened many times before. It seems bigger this time because we're in the 5,000, 6,000 range instead of the $500, $600 range, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, we just got to get through it. If you don't feel comfortable, you got to make a little bit of sells, even into the hated USD, which I myself did again lately. Which again, I keep selling it when it's low and buying it when it's high. I keep doing it backwards, but it's so hard to do it right. And like I was saying in the chat, it's so hard to sell something you believe in. I remember when I was selling at the top, it was like December, January, and I was paying off my credit cards, you know, little point of a bit at a time, trying to gather all my little points together and make an impact on my debt situation. And it went fine, but it was just so hard selling that Bitcoin because I loved it. And then the damn thing goes down more, and I have to sell more, and I hate it. But that's how it is, and I agree with how I made right here. He says it seems like everyone's mood is dependent on their blockfolio, and yeah, my blockfolio used to be small, and then it got bigger, and now it's smaller again, and it's a sad place to hang out. But I don't know, it doesn't get better if you just ignore it. I ignored it for a while, and I was like, everything will be fine. I'll ignore it, and then it turns out I had much less a few weeks later or a few months later. So rather than ignore it, I'd say take some action. Think about percentages and just adjust your risk. I'm about 70-30. I took 30% out in cash. So I have a little bit of cash now. I don't have to worry as much. The other options, 50-50, 70-30 the other way, 90-10. Just think about this. And even if you're 100% in and you're like, I love Bitcoin, I got a job, I'm not worried about it, it's still going to bum you out when you lose a lot of money. So if you want to put 10% aside into cash, put 20% aside into cash, whatever you got to do. I'm still 80/20 with a bunch of crazy altcoins, getting my ass handed to me. But you know, I shrug my shoulders and I say I believe in my goofy altcoin picks as much as whatever. And you know, I want to see how it goes. But yeah, it's always a bummer when you lose money. I agree with check your six. Next time we're up, let's take profits. But you can never tell when we're up. But you can also take profits when you're down. Somebody else was saying in the chat, they're like, "Oh well, I'm up, so I don't care." Because if you got, you know, Bitcoin at 1,000 and it went to 6,000, you're still crazy up, right? You're doing fine. But you have lost a lot of opportunity money or potential money, all those things. So it's a bummer. We all lose some potential money, but again, we're investors. We're taking risks, right? And part of the risk is that I wouldn't have this money to lose if it wasn't for Bitcoin. So Bitcoin helped us out. People are saying, "What if Thomas is Satoshi?" in the chat. That's a good question. I remember when I first started really reading about Bitcoin, really getting into it. I loved so many of Satoshi's ideas and the way that he laid them out and the way that he made this real. I almost thought that it was like Fight Club. I was like, what if I've been going to sleep and instead of sleeping, I've been designing Bitcoin or I've been Satoshi or something like a Tyler Durden type thing? Because I just really like, I thought we had no I thought we had no chance against the Federal Reserve. I thought we had no chance against the banksters and the New World Order and all these kind of ideas. But then I found Bitcoin and I was like, wait a minute. No, we have a chance. The world's going to be very different. Like technology future is coming. All the cypherpunk stuff, all the cyberpunk, all the hacker manifesto, all the things that I used to be into and that we all here on the internet developed for ourselves, this kind of mystery and this ethos, like the Dread Pirate Roberts, that was all going to come true. That all of the cypherpunk, all of the snow crash, companies being equal to countries, all of this stuff was back on the table. All of my fears of 9/11 and all that stuff, and having to live in a like a house in the forest and have no electricity and no internet and all these things, all that went away, and it was like, oh no, Bitcoin is money of the internet. The internet revolution is still going strong. Bitcoin is finally here to give us that next push. And I was there when they had the MP3 in 1997, and it was so amazing. You could compress a WAV file to 10% of the file size. I instantly knew what that meant across the world, across everything. And the same thing for then a few years later with video compression and video streaming. And of course, BitTorrent. Uh, One time I got to meet Bram Cohen in San Francisco. I don't think I fell to my knees and did the Wayne's World thing, but really that's how I felt. I felt I am not worthy. Bram Cohen, you invented BitTorrent. And I did think I managed to say something dorky but appreciative. I told him that BitTorrent changed my life, and I thanked him. So it was really neat to meet Bram Cohen. And a couple of my friends are working with him on his Chia project. I don't know much about it, but Chia is supposed to be like Bitcoin, but it doesn't take as much energy to mine. So it's more energy efficient Bitcoin from the creator of BitTorrent, Bram Cohen. So that might be a cool thing. I'm pretty sure my friends are promoting it or running it or something, and they're already, of course, doing really well. the other the other tough thing about Bitcoin in this industry is even if you bought the crazy altcoins, even if you didn't buy the crazy altcoins, all of your friends are kind of rich and well off now. I know a lot of people that are millionaires, and it's very strange. And again, you want to ask them for a grant or a loan, but you don't because that's super rude. So you just kind of shrug your shoulders and hope that someday it happens to you too. So we'll see. Saying, what if Thomas is Satoshi? Well, you're Satoshi. I'm Satoshi. Thomas is Satoshi. We're all Satoshi because we're salesmen of Bitcoin and we're spreading the word because this is Bitcoin's marketing department, the only marketing department Bitcoin has. How I Made says, yeah, it's kind of hard to spread the word for mass adoptions to your friends when they keep lolling at the crash. And remember, they laugh at the crash, but it also went up. So there's both sides to this. Shout out, thanks to Richard for sending us $5. Whoop, where'd it go? He says, WCN, great work, Thomas. So thank you so much, Richard, for your support. Paul says, if you lose sleep over your investments, you've made a mistake. And it's pretty easy to become over invested, especially if the value of your Bitcoin goes up and suddenly you have more, imaginary money than you've ever had real money. It's hard to deal with that. I think we had about 3 days at the top to deal with it. And I know I wasn't ready to deal with that. A lot of other people weren't ready. And the dang thing went back down. So if it goes back up someday, I think a lot of people will be taking more profits. But that's just a sign that it'll go up and keep going up because it always does the opposite of whatever you want it to do. So let's see. No. Okay, so again, if you want to say that I'm wrong on something, give me an article, give me a link, tell me about it. Have you ever double checked your facts on space? I bet not. I bet you are so programmed, you think just by telling people to double check facts, you think you can't be wrong in your beliefs. Okay. About what? Okay, so he's got some space conspiracy. It's cool if you want to tell me about it. I'd be glad to hear about the moon landing or whatever you got. But apparently I'm wrong on something, as Matt Smith says in the chat. Oh well, sorry about that. Let's see. The price is going down. You want to be ready no matter what. Satoshi is Roger Ver's Tyler Durden. Ooh, that's interesting. How I made says he sold his positions and he's buying laddering back in. He's increased his holdings. He can't win this crash. He's going to accumulate. Albanera says, what will the price of Bitcoin be by the end of 2020? Are people crazy for suggesting it could be $1 million or more? And it's tough to say. 2020, they're probably talking about the halvening, right? So right now, I think you get 12 and a half Bitcoins in every block, and it's going to be 6.25 in 2020. So because of the reduction of Bitcoin supply, people believe that the price will go up. In general, for the miners to keep making money, the price of Bitcoin has to double at least by the end of 2020 to make up for the loss in production. So they're probably talking about the halving. It's a nice thing to talk about, but it doesn't help us much now in the summer of 2018 in the great nadir of Bitcoin. We're in the great middle. So by 2020 it won't matter. Or by 2020 it won't matter at all. So everyone's saying, yeah, return to 20K would be fine. You can get Bitcoin at a better price. And no update on what I'm wrong about with space. Maybe space isn't even really there, and the Earth is flat, and we're all in a diorama being kept on a giant space alien shelf. I don't know. And Guest at Nur says that my day of reckoning will come soon. Just as Andreas was rained upon by 107 bitcoins last December 2017, he actually wrote something similar on a Mad Bitcoins vid in 2013, 2014 era. I'm not all about, people don't have to donate all their money to me or whatever. It was really cool when they gave Andreas $1 million because I do believe him that he spent all of his money traveling and promoting Bitcoin. And as he is such a great supporter of Bitcoin, I think it made everybody sad to know that he didn't have, more than 5 or something like that. And if now he has 107, that's fantastic. I hope he sold. I hope he sold a little bit to cover expenses and so forth. But yeah, someday if there's a Mad Bitcoins or a World Crypto Network donation-a-thon and people want to be very generous, maybe the price of Bitcoin will be up by then. That would be great. I'll keep it going. But see how it goes. And finally, starting to lose my voice. We're not getting that many calls this morning. Stephen Williams got a great comment here to end on. He says, bro, keep doing what you're doing. It's not your fault that most aren't able to see into the future. It feels good to finally find people as weird as me. Bitcoin saved us. And I agree with that. I just want to be in this Bitcoin community. I don't have to lead it. I don't have to be the most important person. I don't name everything after myself, but I just want to be involved. And I thank you guys for watching and helping me be involved. When you share the show with the thumbs up, or if you donate $5, it helps us keep going. It helps this show keep going. Be sure to comment on the video after it finishes rendering. And we're just going to give you the introduction, couple bars of how, and then we're going to end this show so you guys can have a great Saturday. Remember, the words here are Allen Ginsberg's words. I'm going to read them as they are. They may be inappropriate. He wrote from a different time period, so let's all keep that in mind. And also, he is he's a very revolutionary type writer. He's going to push your buttons. He's not going to like stay away from your buttons. He's going to push them. So here it is, How by Allen Ginsberg. They want me to check the price, so let's see before I lose my place. Oh, come on. Here we go. We're going to check the price. Then we're going to talk more about Allen Ginsberg. Ooh, it's up 2%, 62.80, just in the last 5-10 minutes here. So once again, this show makes the price of Bitcoin go up. How by Allen Ginsberg for Carl Solomon. I saw the best minds of my generation destroyed by madness, starving, hysterical, naked, dragging themselves through the Negro streets at dawn looking for an angry fix. Angel-headed hipsters burning for the ancient heavenly connection to the starry dynamo in the machinery of the night. Who poverty and tatters and hollow-eyed and high sat up smoking in the supernatural darkness of cold water flats, floating across the tops of cities, contemplating jazz. Who bared their brains to heaven under the L and saw Mohammedan angels staggering on tenement roofs illuminated. Who passed through universities with radiant, cool eyes, hallucinating Arkansas and Blake-like tragedy among the scholars of war. Who were expelled from the academies for crazy and publishing obscene odes on the windows of the skull. Who cowered in unshaven rooms in underwear, burning their money in wastebaskets and listening to the terror through the wall. Who got busted in their pubic beards returning through Laredo with a belt of marijuana for New York. Who ate fire in paint hotels or drank turpentine in Paradise Alley, death, or purgatoried their torsos night after night. With dreams, with drugs, with waking nightmares, alcohol and cock and endless balls, incomparable blind streets of shuddering cold and lightning in the mind leaping towards poles of Canada and Patterson, illuminating all the motionless world of time between. Peyote solides of halls, backyard green tea cemetery drawns, wine drunkenness over the rooftops, storefront burrows of tea head joyride neon blinking traffic light, sun and moon and tree vibrations in the roaring winter dusks of Brooklyn, ash can ranting and kind king light of mind. Who chained themselves to subways for the endless ride from Battery to Holy Bronx on Benzedrine until the noise of wheels and children brought them down, shuddering, mouth-racked and battered, bleak brain of all drained of brilliance in the drear light of zoo. It's really no good point to end this, so I don't know. I want to just go back to the beginning and end it. I saw the best minds of my generation destroyed by madness, starving, hysterical, naked. Thanks so much for watching Bitcoin Talk Show. As always, you could donate Bitcoin or crazy altcoins to the QR code on your screen right now. We'll be back again tomorrow morning from 9 a.m. until the calls run out, maybe 11 a.m. on Bitcoin Talk Show here on the World Crypto Network. Be sure to give us a thumbs up and a share, subscribe down below, follow us on Twitter at MadBitcoins, and don't forget to leave a comment. Have a great Saturday. Until next time, bye-bye.